Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox. The time 12:56 on the East Coast and 9:56 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and I'm here for the next hour to bring you all of your top stories and live events from across the country and across the world. Do want to take you to an update that we have been following here over the last hour or so, as we now know that the man accused of setting a woman on fire inside of a Brooklyn subway, killing her, has been indicted on multiple charges. Sebastian Zapeta, seen in these photos, made his initial court appearance Tuesday, where it was determined that he would stay in custody for now. He appeared briefly before a judge, remaining fairly quiet. You can see him again in those pool photos. During the hearing, the assistant district attorney said Zapeta was seen fanning the flames on the woman using his shirt. He added that under interrogation, Zapeta claimed he didn't know what happened, noting that he does consume alcohol, but did identify himself in images related to that attack. Immigration and Customs Enforcement has confirmed that Zapeta, a Guatemalan native, was in the U.S. illegally, entering through Arizona, and had previously been deported. Again, we know that Zapeta was back in court earlier on today and has now been indicted on multiple charges. The woman at this point who died has not officially been identified, and police say they are still working to make that happen. We also know that he is expected back in court on January 7th. Now, a bit earlier, we did play for you a news conference, very brief, with the assistant district attorney, but our Fox 5 New York team does have a much better feed of that press conference. I do want to play it for you right now on Live Now from Fox.
Good morning, everyone. Today we take our first significant step towards pursuing justice in this case, with the grand jury having indicted Sebastian Zapeta with 4 counts of murder in the first degree, 3 counts of murder in the second degree, and arson in the first degree. These are significant counts. Murder in the first degree carries the possibility of life without parole. It's the most serious statute in New York State law, and my office is very confident about the evidence in this case and our ability to hold Zapeta accountable for his dastardly deeds. We believe very strongly that this case belongs in state court because the charges here are more significant in state court than currently in federal court. But we have a very strong working relationship with our federal partners, and of course we'll always do what's in the best interest of the people of the state of New York and in the city of Brooklyn, because we want to make sure that he's fully held accountable. On January 7th, the indictment will be officially unsealed in court. At arraignment, we expect the body to be present in the courtroom. Mr. Zapeta, today he waived his appearance here in court, so January 7th will be the first day where we expect to have him in court when he's arraigned on the felony indictment. I want to assure the people of this city that this office will do everything in our power to hold him accountable. This was a malicious deed. A sleeping, vulnerable woman on our subway system. This act surprised many New Yorkers as they were getting ready to celebrate the holidays. But now New Yorkers are waking up and understanding that on the 22nd of this year, this happened. This was intentional, and we improved to prove this in a court of law. I want to thank the grand jurors in this case, right around the holiday, to see the video and the images of a woman set afire is very hard to deal with, and so I want to thank them for serving on jury duty and coming to the only conclusion that I think is supported by the evidence in this case, that there's reasonable cause to believe and pursue the charges against Mr. Zapeta. Standing here with me is Lila Rossini. She is the head of the Homicide Bureau, and Assistant District Attorney Matt Perry, who's going to be the lead prosecutor on this case. If there are any questions, I'll take them now. Yes. In this particular case, the allegations of the arson, setting the arson on the train with the woman, causing her to be engulfed by flames, allows it to be charged as first-degree murder 1. It's the most serious charge. Most of the time, it's charged in the connection of killing of multiple people or the killing of a law enforcement officer.
And what steps are you taking to identify this woman?
Yes. As many of you know, the criminal court complaint and the indictment at this time indicates the death of a Jane Doe. The police and the medical examiner's office and many investigators are working to identify her. Her body was badly burned, and so advanced fingerprinting efforts are being made, as well as advanced DNA evidence to identify her. We have made some progress in that area, but I'm not at liberty to get into specifics now. And of course, you know, our hearts go out not only to this victim, but we know that there's a family. Just because someone appears to have been living, you know, in the situation of homelessness does not mean that there's not going to be family devastated by, you know, the tragic way she lost her life. Yes.
Any indication that any substances may have played a role? I know we understand he was living in a potential substance abuse facility. Is there anything about mental health or any substance?
Not at this time. At this time, you know, we're pursuing this under, you know, the theory that this was an intentional act, but we also have on the indictment depraved indifference murder, and so there's different theories of the case. But you know, if we watch the video, and I'm sure many of you have seen the video, it's clear that it appears a lighter was used to set her on fire, and you know, that's our working theory on the case right now. Yes. On the murder 1, the top charge is life without the possibility of parole, and of course on standard murder the top count is 25 years to life. There's also the arson charge, and you know, there's a possibility that some of this can run consecutive.
In response to the police officer who's walking by, can you speak to that at all? Was there any indication that he should have done more?
Well, we know that the officer attempted to get a fire extinguisher to, you know, to douse the flame. So I'm not going to speak more on that particular issue, other than we believe that the officer, considering all the circumstances, all of the smoke and flames that were in the train car at that time, did the most that he could do at this time. Yes. Yes. This was an act that the question was, why do we want to keep it in state court? There are two basic principles here. One is, I have a lot of confidence in the people of Brooklyn and the people who come and serve on jury duty here, and I think that this crime took place in New York City, in Brooklyn, and that the people of this county should serve on the jury there. Second, very simply, state law is more significant in this case. You know, there's a possibility with life without parole. That's not an option in the proposed charge that was mentioned, arson, under federal statute. So you're looking at more time. In this particular case, the heinous nature of this case, I believe that the maximum penalty should be imposed, and currently that would be in state court.
I just had a question of cameras being used to identify this woman, the way that they were used in Jimmy's case, in the sense that you can go back and see the section of.
Well, we're grateful that to a lot of people here. One thing, we're grateful that the transit system has cameras, and I'm also grateful to some of the witnesses who quickly informed the police of the identity of the alleged perpetrator of the crime. I think all of these things work together to make sure that he was captured immediately, very important to the safety of New Yorkers that somebody who, would behave in this way is currently in custody.
What can they be used to identify her or trace her status?
We're working on that. We're working on trying to go back and trace when she entered the subway system and exactly, if there's a clear shot of her face.
I'm sorry I'm late, so I apologize if you answered this already. Two things. Number one, have you guys identified the victim yet? And number two, what is going on in court today? Why is he
Okay, so we announced a few minutes ago the indictment. The judge received the indictment today, murder in the first degree, 3 counts of murder in the second degree, arson in the first degree. The defendant, through his lawyer, waived his appearance, so he was not brought up to court, but he is due back in court in person on January 7th, where the indictment will be unsealed and he will be arraigned on the indictment at that time. What was your second question? Unknown as of yet, but a lot of work has been going into trying to identify her.
Has any family reported anybody missing?
There's always people missing in New York City, so we're working through those leads, but I wouldn't want to speculate. Yeah. There is no death penalty in the state of New York, so that's why the maximum penalty here is life without the possibility of parole. And we charged that count in order to make sure that we can, seek that penalty. We have a long way to go. This is really the first significant step of today in holding him accountable. There's going to be the felony arraignment again on January 7th. And then the trial team here will work to pursue justice. And of course, it's a priority for me, for my office, for the police department to identify this woman so we can notify her family of what had happened to her. Thank you, everyone. All right.
All right, there you have it. The assistant district attorney holding a news conference there, obtained by our Fox 5 New York team, and essentially saying that the suspect, Sebastian Zapeta, has now been indicted on several charges, expected back in court on January 7th. After, at this point, it's been nearly a week, but the victim has still not officially been identified, and police say they are having a difficult time. You heard a reporter ask if there were any missing persons cases, and the assistant district attorney saying there are quite a few of them in New York City. Now, our Fox 5 New York team has been all over this. They had a reporter just moments ago who did file this report with the latest.
Turning now to our other top story at noon, the suspect accused of setting a woman on fire on a Brooklyn subway train has now been indicted on state charges. This comes as police and medical examiners are still working to identify the victim's identity in this deadly incident. Fox 5's Linda Schmidt is live outside of the courthouse in Brooklyn with the very latest on this indictment. Linda.
First of all, good afternoon to you there, Bianca. A grand jury, that's what you're talking about here this afternoon, has now indicted Sebastian Zapeta on multiple counts. 1 count of first-degree murder, 3 counts of second-degree murder, and 1 count of first-degree arson. If he is convicted, he faces the possibility of life in prison without parole. Now, go ahead and take a look at this here. Prosecutors say Zapeta used a lighter to set a sleeping woman on fire on a subway car in Coney Island, and then he waved a shirt to fan the fire. The woman was quickly engulfed in flames. Now, earlier this week, ICE reported that Zapeta is from Guatemala. He was deported first back in 2018, but then he came across the border again illegally, making his way here to New York. The 33-year-old claims to not know what happened when he allegedly set the woman on fire, although he did identify himself in photos and surveillance video showing the fire being lit. Now, he was not in court today, but he will be here in court on January 7th in Brooklyn when he will be arraigned on the indictment. Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez says the woman, the victim here in this gruesome crime, was homeless and that they are still trying to positively identify her.
The criminal court complaint And the indictment at this time indicates the death of a Jane Doe. The police and the medical examiner's office and many investigators are working to identify her. Her body was badly burned, and so advanced fingerprinting efforts are being made, as well as advanced DNA evidence to identify her. We have made some progress in that area, but I'm not at liberty to get into specifics now.
And District Attorney Gonzalez also telling us today in that afternoon or late morning news conference here today that they are still trying to determine exactly at what point the woman, the victim, actually got onto the subway system so they can hopefully get a clear picture of her face. Back inside to you.